Linda arrived an hour later, breathless and apologetic. She clattered her designer heels across the hardwood floor, setting her purse down on the entry table as she called out, "Sorry. Traffic was a nightmare and clients wouldn't let me leave." Her gaze flickered to Rob, then Emma, lingering just a moment too long on the velvet box. Emma kept her distance, her arms folded across her chest. "Thank you for the watch, Mom. Grandma would have liked it," she said, her tone carefully neutral. Linda offered a bright, brittle smile. "Of course, sweetheart. I just wanted you to have something special on your big day." Rob watched her carefully, every instinct alert. "You're late, Linda," he said, keeping his tone mild. "Emma waited to open your gift. Why don't you join us for dinner?" Linda nodded, her eyes darting away from his. "Let's eat, I'm starving." But the tension in the room was impossible to ignore. Emma kept glancing at Rob, her tacit plea for answers echoing in the silence. The meal passed with forced cheer. Linda recounted funny stories from her office, talking too quickly and laughing too loudly, her mask faltering every time she met Rob's gaze. Emma picked at her food, barely speaking, while Rob struggled to keep the conversation light. As they finished dessert, Linda's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her face tightening before she quickly put it away. "Work again?" Rob asked. She forced another smile. "Just a client checking on a closing. I'll handle it later." But Rob noticed how her hand trembled as she reached for her glass. After dinner, Emma excused herself, claiming homework. Rob remained in the dining room, watching Linda gather plates with forced casualness. He cleared his throat. "Linda, where did the watch really come from?" She froze, then looked up with wide, innocent eyes. "What do you mean? I told you it was from your mother's things." "She never owned anything like that, and Emma found a receipt in your purse. From yesterday." For a moment, Linda's composure wavered. She pressed her lips together, then shrugged. "I just wanted her to feel special, Rob. After everything this year, she misses her grandmother, and I thought—" Rob didn't believe her, and he was sure she knew it. He let the subject drop for now, but suspicion lay heavy in his chest. As he helped clear the table, he watched Linda closely, noting how she avoided his eyes and escaped to the laundry room under the pretense of folding towels. He realized, with a sense of dread, that their perfect facade was beginning to crack. Rob nodded, though Derek couldn't see him. "Got it. I'll keep digging." He hung up, his mind racing. He needed more information, something concrete. He decided to start with the watch. He picked up his phone and dialed an old contact, a jeweler who owed him a favor. "Hey, it's Rob Mitchell. I need a favor. Can you trace a watch for me? It's a Cartier, gold with diamonds. I need to know if it's real and where it came from." The jeweler agreed, and Rob sent him the details. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. The pieces were starting to come together, but the picture was still blurry. He needed to talk to Emma, see if she'd noticed anything else. He found her in the kitchen, packing her lunch for school. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, leaning against the counter. "Can we talk for a minute?" Emma looked up, her eyes guarded. "Sure, Dad." He pulled out a chair and sat down. "I know you've noticed some things that don't add up. With Mom, with the money, with the watch." Emma nodded, her gaze dropping to her hands. "I'm scared, Dad. I don't want to believe she's doing something wrong, but—" "I know, sweetheart. I'm scared too. But we need to find out the truth, for both of us." Emma looked up at him, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "What if she's in trouble, Dad? What if she needs our help?" Rob's heart ached for his daughter, for the pain in her voice. "Then we'll help her, Emma. But first, we need to know what's really going on." He pulled her into a hug, holding her tight. "We'll figure this out together, I promise." Emma nodded, sniffling. "Okay, Dad, together." Rob held her for a moment longer, then pulled back. "In the meantime, keep your eyes and ears open. If you see or hear anything at all, you come to me, okay?" Emma nodded. "Okay, Dad, I will." Rob stood up, giving her shoulder a squeeze. "I love you, Emma, more than anything." "I love you too, Dad." Rob left the kitchen, his mind made up. He would get to the bottom of this no matter what it took. He owed it to his family, to his daughter, to the truth. He picked up his phone and dialed another number, this time a private investigator he'd used in the past. "I need you to look into someone for me. My wife, Linda Mitchell. I need to know everything. Her movements, her associates, her secrets. I need to know it all." The investigator agreed, and Rob hung up, feeling a sense of determination. He would find the truth, no matter where it led. He would protect his family, no matter the cost. He would uncover the lies, no matter how deep they ran. He would expose the secrets, no matter how dark they were. He would do whatever it took to keep his family safe, to keep his daughter safe, to keep the truth safe. Rob gently pried the tiny chip free and held it up between a pair of tweezers, his expression grave. Emma leaned closer, her eyes wide with shock and confusion. Is that what I think it is?" she whispered. "Yes," Rob replied, his voice steady. "This isn't just a fancy watch, Emma. Someone has been tracking you, listening, watching, recording, maybe for months." He inserted the chip into a secure reader connected to his laptop, careful not to trigger any hidden security features. Screens bloomed with code and encrypted files. It would take time to decipher, but Rob's shock was giving way to anger and purpose. Emma clutched her arms around herself, clearly shaken. "Why would Mom do this? Why would she want to spy on me?" "I don't know yet, honey," Rob said, reaching out to squeeze her shoulder with reassurance. "But I promise you, I'm going to get answers. No more secrets, okay?" Emma nodded, trusting him completely. As the initial scan completed, Rob discovered a series of incoming data transfers from the device. Someone, possibly Linda, or someone she worked for, had been downloading information collected by the watch. Rob wrote down the IP addresses and flagged them for further tracing. He looked at Emma, trying to keep his tone calm and encouraging. "We're not going to let anyone hurt our family, Emma. This changes everything. I need you to act normal around your mom until I figure out exactly what's going on. Can you do that for me?" Emma nodded, determination mixing with anxiety in her eyes. "I can do that, Dad." "Good, I'm proud of you," he said, allowing himself a soft smile. "We're in this together, no matter what comes next." As night settled over the house, Rob stayed up late, poring over the files on the chip. The next pieces of the puzzle were about to fall into place, and Rob Mitchell would be ready for whatever truths the darkness might reveal. Rob took a deep breath, forcing himself to remain calm for Emma's sake. "We're not going to let anything happen to you," he vowed, his voice steady and full of resolve. "We know what she's planning, and that gives us the upper hand, but we can't panic. We have to be smart." Emma wiped her tears, nodding with new determination. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice trembling but eager for action. Rob thought quickly. "First, we secure these recordings. No one else will get to them. Then, we document everything. Every text, every call, every lie. I'll contact Derek and bring him up to speed. He'll know how to handle this legally. We'll need evidence, and we'll need protection. I'll arrange for extra security, quietly." He glanced at the tiny pile of surveillance tech on his desk, his mind racing through tactical options. Emma, I know this is a lot to handle, but you're strong, and you're not alone in this. We're going to fight back together." Emma took a shaky breath and managed a small, determined smile. Rob hugged her closer, feeling the weight of fatherhood settle around his shoulders heavier than ever before. "We'll have to act like we know nothing until we have proof Linda and Tyler are caught red-handed," Rob continued. "We can't let them know we're onto them, not yet. Tomorrow, pretend everything is normal. I'll pick you up from school, and we'll come straight home together. I'll handle the college trip excuse. I won't let you out of my sight, Emma, I promise." Emma nodded again, a spark of hope glimmering in her eyes now. "Okay, Dad, whatever you say." Rob pressed a reassuring kiss to the top of her head. "We'll get through this. We're Mitchells and we don't back down." As they gathered the evidence and locked it away, Rob's sense of resolve grew into something fierce and unshakable. The perfect facade was shattered, but now the truth would finally have its day. Marcus answered on the second ring, his voice gruff and alert. "Rob, what's up? You sound like you're ready to go to war." Rob didn't waste time on pleasantries. "I need your help, Marcus. Someone's trying to take my family down, and I need eyes and ears on the ground in Portland. I need to know every move Linda makes, every person she talks to. I need to know if Tyler Brooks is with her, and if he's not, I need to find him." Marcus didn't hesitate. "Consider it done. I'll be on the next flight out. Send me everything you have on them. I'll set up surveillance, tail her, whatever it takes. You know I've got your back, brother." Rob felt a surge of gratitude. "Thanks, Marcus. I owe you one." "No, you don't. We're family. I'll call you as soon as I'm in place. Be careful, Rob. These people sound dangerous." "They are, but so am I." Rob hung up, his resolve hardening. He spent the rest of the day preparing, gathering more evidence, and setting up additional security measures around the house. He installed hidden cameras, motion sensors, and even a few surprises for anyone who might try to break in. As Emma returned from school, Rob greeted her with a forced smile, hiding the storm of emotions raging inside him. "Hey, sweetheart, how was your day?" Emma shrugged, trying to act normal. "It was okay, I'm just glad to be home with you." Rob pulled her into a hug, holding her tightly. "Me too, Emma, me too." That evening, after Emma had gone to bed, Rob met with Derek at his office. He laid out all the evidence, the recordings, the surveillance data, and the plans he'd been formulating. Derek listened intently, his expression growing graver with each piece of information. "This is serious, Rob. We need to be careful. But I think we have enough to start building a case. I'll file for a restraining order and temporary custody. We'll need to keep Emma safe and away from Linda until this is resolved." Rob nodded, his jaw set. "I won't let them near her. Not ever again." Derek handed him a stack of papers. "These are the documents you'll need. Keep them safe. And Rob, be careful. These people are dangerous and they won't go down without a fight." Rob took the papers, his mind already racing ahead to the next steps. "I know. But I'm not backing down. Not this time. Not ever." As he drove home, Rob's thoughts were a whirlwind of strategy and determination. He would protect his family, no matter the cost. He would expose the lies, no matter how deep they ran. He would bring the truth to light, no matter how dark the shadows were. And he would do it all with the fierce, unyielding love of a father who would stop at nothing to keep his daughter safe. Derek listened quietly as Rob recounted the details, reviewing the files, audio clips, and surveillance data Rob had brought. The weight of the conspiracy was plain on Derek's face as he scrolled through emails, transcripts, and bank records, this time laid bare with chilling clarity. "This is comprehensive," Derek finally said, running a hand through his hair. "Your wife isn't just plotting fraud. She's been building a psychological profile against you, constructing an entire alternate reality." He looked up, his gaze sharp. "If we hadn't caught this early, Rob, you'd be fighting this battle in family court with the decks stacked against you." Rob nodded grimly. "It's not just about me. She was setting Emma up to be collateral damage." Derek's eyes hardened. "Let's focus on containment. I'll get you temporary custody, and we'll move to freeze any joint assets before Linda can touch another cent. I'll draft a statement for the school as backup. Alert their counselor quietly. If she tries to manipulate anyone with these claims, we'll tie it directly to her scheme." "She's got help," Rob said. "Tyler Brooks. Convictions for fraud. Armed with new fake identities." Derek typed swiftly into his notes. "I'll reach out to a friend at the district attorney's office. Someone needs to know there's a criminal element at play." Rob stood, gathering his files. "Let me know if we need to go public with this, Derek. If she even suspects we're onto her, it'll get dangerous, fast." "Be careful, Rob," Derek cautioned. "And watch your back. You know how quickly these things can spiral." Rob nodded. Emma's safety first, always. He turned to leave, resolve hardening in his chest. He stepped into the cool night beyond the office building, feeling both burdened and emboldened. The enemy was closer than he'd realized, but now, for the first time, Rob Mitchell saw a clear path through the darkness, one paved with evidence, determination, and the unbreakable bond between father and daughter. Emma hung up, her heart pounding. She had never lied to her father before, but the script they had rehearsed felt necessary, a crucial part of their plan. She walked back to class, her mind racing with a mix of fear and determination. That afternoon, Rob received a call from Linda. "Rob, I'm concerned about Emma. She seemed really upset today. Did something happen?" Rob kept his voice neutral, hiding the triumph he felt. "She's just going through a tough time. Teenagers, you know." Linda's voice was laced with false concern. "I know, but I think we need to keep a closer eye on her. Maybe even consider getting her some help. I've been looking into therapists in the area." Rob's grip tightened on the phone. "Let's not jump to conclusions. She's a smart kid. She'll work through this." Linda paused, then continued, her voice smooth. "Of course you're right, but if you need any help, just let me know. I'm here for both of you." Rob hung up, a cold smile playing on his lips. The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for Linda and Tyler to take the bait. Over the next few days, Rob and Emma continued their charade, carefully feeding Linda false information through the watch. They staged arguments, planted seeds of doubt, and even faked a minor incident where Rob supposedly lost his temper. Each performance was meticulously planned, designed to paint a picture of a family on the brink of collapse. Meanwhile, Marcus in Portland kept Rob updated on Linda's movements. She was meeting with Tyler more frequently, their conversations growing more urgent and desperate. Rob could almost hear the gears turning in their minds, the wheels of their conspiracy spinning faster and faster. One evening, as Rob and Emma sat in the living room, Linda burst in, her eyes wild. "Rob, we need to talk. I've been hearing things, seeing things. Emma's behavior, your temper. It's not safe for her here." Rob looked up, his expression calm but dangerous. "What are you talking about, Linda?" She waved a piece of paper in his face, a printout of one of their staged arguments. "I have evidence, Rob. I know what's been going on. You need help, and so does Emma." Rob stood up, towering over her. "You're the one who needs help, Linda. You're the one who's been lying, cheating, and plotting behind our backs. You're the one who's been trying to destroy this family." Linda's face paled, but she didn't back down. You're delusional, Rob. I'm trying to protect our daughter. I'm trying to save her from you." Rob's voice was like ice. "You're too late, Linda. The game is over. We know everything. And now, it's time for you to face the consequences." As Linda stumbled back, shock and fear etched on her face, Rob knew the end was near. The trap had been sprung, and there was no turning back. The truth would finally see the light of day, and justice would be served. He called Linda, his voice carefully modulated to sound weary and defeated. "Linda, I need to talk to you about Emma and about us." There was a pause, then Linda's voice, smooth and concerned. "Of course, Rob, what's on your mind?" "I've been thinking about what you said about Emma needing help. Maybe you're right. Maybe I've been too hard on her, too focused on work. Maybe I need to step back, let you handle things." Linda's voice was triumphant, barely hiding her glee. "I'm glad you see it that way, Rob. I've been worried about you, about both of you. I think it's best if Emma stays with me for a while, just until things settle down." Rob's grip tightened on the phone, but his voice remained steady. "That sounds like a good idea. I'll start packing her things. She can stay with you until she's ready to go to college." Linda's voice was almost giddy. "Thank you, Rob. I know this is hard, but it's for the best, for all of us." As he hung up, Rob felt a surge of satisfaction. The trap was set, and Linda had walked right into it. Now, it was time to spring the snare. He turned to Emma, who had been listening from the other room. "It's time, sweetheart. You're going to stay with your mom for a few days. But remember, you're not alone. We're always with you, even when you can't see us." Emma nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "I know, Dad. I'm ready." Rob pulled her into a tight hug, holding her close. "I love you, Emma, more than anything, and I promise this will all be over soon." Emma hugged him back, her voice steady. "I love you too, Dad, and I trust you. We'll get through this together." As Emma packed her things, Rob made a few more calls, setting the final pieces of his plan in motion. Marcus would be nearby, watching and listening, ready to intervene if necessary. Derek would be on standby, prepared to move quickly once they had all the evidence they needed. That night, as Emma left with Linda, Rob watched from the window, his heart heavy, but his resolve unshakable. This was the hardest part, sending his daughter into the lion's den. But he knew it was necessary. They needed to catch Linda and Tyler red-handed, to expose their conspiracy for what it truly was. He turned away from the window, his mind already racing ahead to the next steps. He would not rest until his family was safe, until the truth was laid bare, and until justice was served. The battle was far from over, but Rob Mitchell was a soldier, and he never backed down from a fight. Rob shrugged, keeping his gaze downcast. "Maybe I'm just under too much pressure. Business is falling apart, my family's slipping away. Sometimes I feel like I can't do anything right. Linda says I'm not myself, that I've become dangerous." Dr. Morrison nodded, her expression sympathetic yet professional. "Rob, stress can affect anyone. But let's talk about what's really going on at home. How are things with Linda and Emma?" Rob paused, feigning discomfort, then let out a shaky breath. "I don't know. Linda says I yell too much, that I blame her for things. Emma barely looks at me anymore. I feel like I'm losing both of them. Maybe they'd be better off without me." Dr. Morrison leaned in, her tone soft and reassuring. "That's not for them to decide. Let's focus on what you're experiencing. Do you ever feel out of control with anger?" Rob shook his head, a hint of desperation in his voice. "No, frustrated, yes, sometimes overwhelmed, but never out of control. I've never hurt either of them." She nodded, jotting notes. Notes she knew would counter Linda's narrative. "What about your drinking? Do you feel it's gotten worse?" "I've had a few rough nights, but—" He let his voice trail off. "Linda's been saying things, moving our money around, and then telling me I imagined it. Sometimes I think I'm losing my mind." Dr. Morrison maintained her neutral stance, making sure her questions and his answers were factually logged, setting the record straight for any future inquiry. "That's why we're here, Rob. My goal is to help you and your family find a way forward. We'll talk every week, sort out what's stress and what's real." She gave him a meaningful look, their prior discussion unspoken but understood. She was documenting everything, ensuring that any attempt by Linda to use these sessions against him would be undercut by Dr. Morrison's professional assessment. Rob nodded, grateful. "Thank you, Doctor." She smiled gently. "We'll get through this together, Rob. I'll see you next week." As Rob left the office, his act perfectly played, he felt the tides shifting. Linda's attempts to undermine him were adding evidence for his own defense instead. He called Marcus from the car, updating him on the next moves. "Everything's working," Rob said, his voice quiet but determined. "She thinks I'm spiraling. We're almost ready, Marcus. Just a little more time." "Then let's make sure we finish it, brother," Marcus replied. "No mistakes." Rob drove home, his plan advancing step by careful step, the walls closing in on Linda and Tyler as the final stage approached. Rob played his part flawlessly, forcing himself to eat while occasionally muttering about forgotten meetings and suspicious co-workers. He let his hands shake just enough to be noticed, cast worried glances through the window, and purposefully left his phone in the refrigerator. Everything was meant to deepen Linda's conviction that her scheme was working. After dinner, Linda retired early to pack for the week. Emma and Rob stayed at the table, the air thick with tension and unspoken hopes. "It's almost over, sweetheart," Rob whispered, squeezing Emma's hand beneath the table. "Another few days, then we bring everything to light." Emma nodded, her face composed, but her eyes shining with fierce resolve. "I'm ready, Dad. I want it done." Rob smiled, pride and sorrow mingling in his expression. "You're the bravest person I know." That night, as silence fell over the house, Rob gathered files, electronic evidence, and the information Marcus had extracted. He sent encrypted copies to Derek, Dr. Morrison, Patricia Winters, and, through a secure channel, government contacts who had the resources to quietly open an investigation into the wider criminal operation. As Monday dawned chilly and gray, Linda kissed Emma's forehead with manufactured tenderness, hugged Rob with just enough worry to satisfy any watching eyes, and headed for the airport, eager for what she believed was her final victory. Before she'd even reached Portland, Rob was in motion. Marcus was dispatched to ensure Emma's safety and act as her shadow at all times. Derek prepared emergency filings for court, and Dr. Morrison updated her records, noting the extreme contrast between Rob's private sessions and Linda's alarming claims, evidence of manipulation and malice. For the next 72 hours, Rob moved like a ghost through their lives, gathering the last pieces of proof. He documented the phone conversations Linda held with Tyler, recorded the money transfers she attempted, and traced communications to several aliases used by the criminal organization. By Wednesday evening, Rob was ready. The evidence was overwhelming. His enemies had unwittingly assembled the very dossier that would undo them. Thursday morning was set. Rob would meet Derek at the courthouse, hand-deliver everything to law enforcement and make his sworn statements. He stood outside Emma's bedroom door for a moment, listening to the gentle, even sound of her breathing. The worst was nearly over. Tomorrow, at last, would bring the dawn. By noon, investigators were quietly mobilizing, launching preliminary inquiries into the cases Marcus had flagged, each one designed to draw Tyler's criminal network into the light without tipping anyone off. The clock was ticking, and every hour that passed made Rob's trap tighter, more inescapable. Rob spent the afternoon finalizing his own statement for law enforcement. A detailed account of Linda's deception, Tyler's involvement, and the psychological warfare that had dismantled his reputation piece by piece. Derek handled the coordination with court officers and ensured Dr. Morrison was on call, ready to testify or provide affidavits as needed. Emma remained at home with Marcus standing guard, her every movement accounted for. Rob checked in with her regularly, exchanging encouraging smiles that masked the storm raging on the other side of the front door. They cooked dinner together, talking about Emma's classes and college dreams as though their world weren't about to change forever. That evening, as the rain deepened and wind rattled the windows, a notification hit Rob's phone. The temporary protection and asset preservation orders had been granted. Linda could not access any of the family accounts or enter the home without legal supervision. Simultaneously, warrants had been issued for Tyler's devices and travel, guardrails set just before their adversaries realized the ground beneath them had vanished. Late that night, Linda called from Portland, her voice unusually calm, unaware of the legal avalanche gathering speed. "How are things, Rob? You sound different." "Just tired," Rob replied, layering exhaustion with relief. "Emma's at a friend's house studying. I'm going to bed early. Let me know if you need anything." Her mask of concern was so convincing that Rob almost laughed. "I will," he said, and hung up. He took a moment to savor the stillness. The storm was at its peak, the net drawing ever tighter around those who had thought themselves untouchable. In that quiet, Rob felt not just vindication, but hope. Tomorrow, the truth would finally set them free. "You did what you had to do to keep your daughter safe," Agent Kim said quietly. "Given the circumstances, I can understand why you took the approach you did. We'll need full access to any evidence you have, recordings, financial statements, documents, everything." Rob slid a flash drive across the table. "It's all here. I've made duplicate copies. My attorney and psychiatrist also have access. If anything happens to us, the truth will come out." Agent Kim offered him a reassuring smile. "Things are moving rapidly. Tyler Brooks has been flagged by multiple field offices, and the evidence ties him, and by extension, Linda, to a multi-state inheritance fraud ring. We're putting them under surveillance, and will coordinate with Child Protective Services to keep Emma safe. Is there anything else we should know?" Rob shook his head. "You have everything. Just make sure she's safe. That's all that matters." "We will, and Mitchell—" She paused, her tone softening. "You're not alone in this anymore. We'll protect your daughter and we'll get justice, that's a promise." When Rob left the FBI's downtown Seattle field office, it was with a cautious knot of hope in his chest. He called Marcus to check in. Emma was safe, Mrs. Winters having arranged for her to come home early, and CPS had already interviewed her, finding no signs of distress under Rob's care. By evening, the web of lies Linda and Tyler had spun for more than a year was unraveling. FBI agents were collecting digital trails. Bank accounts were freezing. Suspicious insurance claims were being reviewed by federal analysts. And on the home front, Rob prepared for whatever came next, with Emma close by, knowing the darkness was finally breaking. That night, as a gentle rain washed the city, Rob sat with Emma in the living room, quiet and spent, but alive with hope. They watched the lights blink across Seattle, waiting for the official word that everything they had fought and suffered for was at last being set right. Rob's words hung in the room, unyielding, final. Linda's defiance faltered, her eyes wide with a flicker of fear she could not disguise. The deputies guided her from the conference room, footsteps echoing down the hall, a hollow sound marking the end of her reign over their lives. Emma stepped beside her father, emotion tightening her voice, but resolve shining in her eyes. Mrs. Winters placed a steadying hand on Emma's shoulder, while the advocate nodded in approval. Derek gathered the paperwork methodically. The realities of law and justice at last brought sharp and clear. For a moment, silence reigned. Rob allowed himself to breathe, deep, steady, letting the tension drain from his shoulders. He looked down at Emma. "It's over," he whispered, voice rough with relief and pride. Emma nodded, swallowing back tears that were part sorrow, part triumph. "We're safe now, aren't we?" He cupped her face gently. "Yes, you're safe, I promise." As they left the office together, a sense of peace, fragile but real, began to settle around them. Outside, the sky was clearing for the first time in days. The future, at last, belonged to them. And the past, every secret, every scheme, every shadow, was behind them. Agent Kim called Rob's secure line, her voice laced with a note of satisfaction. "We were able to flip one of the lower-level operatives in the network, someone Tyler trusted with money transfers. He's turned state's evidence for immunity and has already identified 2 high-level organizers that even Tyler and Linda reported to." Rob leaned back in his chair, the news both relieving and sobering. "That'll help you roll up the rest of the network." "It will," Agent Kim replied. "And there's something else. You and Emma have been cleared. No charges, no further questions. You're officially victims, and your cooperation has fast-tracked this case higher up the Bureau's priority list." Rob let out a long, slow breath. "Thank you. I just want to make sure Emma can live her life now, without looking over her shoulder every day." "She can, Rob. The Bureau will be in touch if there's ever a security concern, but for now, you're free, really free." After she hung up, Rob found Emma in the backyard, the pale spring sunlight casting gold across the old swing set. He called her over and knelt until he was eye to eye with his daughter. "It's over, honey. The FBI's finished. We're in the clear for good." Relief flooded Emma's face, and she wrapped her arms tightly around her father. "I just want to move on, Dad. Start over somewhere people only know us for who we really are." Rob hugged her fiercely. "We will. You've got a whole future waiting for you, Emma, bigger and brighter than anything behind us." Later, as dusk fell over St. Louis, Rob stood quietly by the window, watching the city lights blink awake. He knew there would still be healing, that what had broken could never be restored exactly as it was, but something stronger could grow in its place. He had lost the illusion of a perfect marriage, but won back the truth, his dignity, and, most importantly, his daughter's trust and safety. That was enough. The hunt was over, and in the quiet that followed, life finally felt whole again. Rob leaned forward, his voice low and steady. "I'm saying that if you think you can intimidate or manipulate me, you're wrong. I've faced worse than you in combat zones, and I've survived. You're just another predator who thought he could prey on the weak. But you chose the wrong family to target. I will make sure that every person you've harmed knows the truth. I will make sure that every judge, every prosecutor, every juror hears exactly what you did and why you did it. And I will make sure that you spend the rest of your life in a place where you can't hurt anyone else. Ever." Tyler's face paled, the arrogance fading as he realized the depth of Rob's resolve. "You're bluffing," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Rob's smile was cold and unyielding. Try me. See what happens. But know this. You're not dealing with a civilian anymore. You're dealing with a soldier who has fought and won against far worse enemies. And I will not stop until you are behind bars for the rest of your life." The room fell silent, the weight of Rob's words hanging heavy in the air. Tyler's lawyer looked at his client, then at Rob, and finally at the federal prosecutor sitting quietly in the corner. The lawyer cleared his throat. "Mr. Brooks, perhaps it's time to reconsider your strategy." Tyler's eyes flickered with a mix of fear and anger, but he said nothing. The prosecutor stood up, her expression grave. "Mr. Brooks, the evidence against you is overwhelming. Your best chance at a lighter sentence is to cooperate fully and take responsibility for your actions. If you continue to try and shift blame, the prosecution will seek the maximum penalty." Tyler looked at Rob, then at the prosecutor, and finally at his lawyer. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a cold, hard calculation. "Fine," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'll cooperate. But I want immunity for everything except the murders. I'll testify against Linda and the others, but I want a deal." The prosecutor nodded. "We'll discuss the terms with the Federal Attorney General's office. But know this, your cooperation must be complete and truthful. Any attempt to deceive or manipulate will result in the full weight of the law coming down on you." As they left the conference room, Rob felt a sense of satisfaction. The net was closing, and Tyler Brooks was finally facing the consequences of his actions. The battle was far from over, but for the first time in months, Rob Mitchell felt like he was winning. Rob opened the door, inviting Derek inside. The lawyer's face was brighter than Rob had seen in months as he handed over the envelope. "It's official," Derek said with a grin. "The restitution order just came through, and the government has unsealed the funds. Between asset recovery and what we were able to shield from the initial fraud, you and Emma are made whole. College, house, everything is secure again." Emma appeared behind Rob, eyes wide with hope and disbelief. "You mean—" Derek nodded, turning toward her. "All the assets Tyler and Linda tried to siphon off? Frozen, reclaimed, and now released back to your father's control. Georgetown just got a lot more affordable, Emma." Rob felt something in his chest unclench, something that had been braced for attack for far too long. He hugged Emma, letting relief and gratitude fill the spaces left by months of tension. "Thank you, Derek, for everything." Derek smiled warmly. "You both fought harder and smarter than anyone could have expected. I just made sure the courts kept up." Emma beamed, the last flickers of fear replaced by excitement for the future. "Maybe one day I'll be the one drafting protection orders and serving justice." Rob ruffled her hair, pride making his voice thick. "I have no doubt." Derek gathered his coat. "I've got to head to court, but I wanted you to have this today. Rob, Emma, enjoy your victory. You earned it." As the sun rose higher, filling the house with light, Rob and Emma sat together at the kitchen table, future plans replacing old shadows. The battle had been fierce, the scars would linger, but now there was hope. New foundations built on truth, love, and unbreakable courage. And while they would never forget the lessons learned from darkness, they knew at last they were free to embrace whatever came next. "The only thing I regret, Emma," Rob said softly, "is that you ever had to see just how far some people will go for greed. But protecting you and making sure they could never hurt anyone again, I'd make the same choices every time." Emma nodded, her eyes bright but resolute. "I just wanted to hear you say it. Sometimes I worry about becoming too cold, too tough, like I have to constantly watch for danger." Rob reached over and squeezed her hand gently. "Being vigilant isn't the same as being cold, sweetheart. It just means you understand the world as it really is, and that you're ready if anyone tries to take advantage of you, or anyone else, again. But don't forget to let yourself live too. Trust, dream, and hope. That's what they can never take from us. Not if we choose to keep it. Emma smiled, reassured by her father's strength. Together, as twilight deepened across the water, they talked about the future, of Emma's classes at Georgetown, the Foundation's grant proposals, and all the good that could come from experience hard-won. From now on, the Mitchells would face whatever life threw at them side by side, no longer defined by the shadows of betrayal, but by the resilience they carried, the justice they delivered, and the hope lighting their way forward. Each time, his request was denied without hesitation, the courts unmoved by his pleas for mercy. The evidence was overwhelming, his reputation irreparably damaged, and the network he'd once relied on dissolved. As New Year's approached, Rob, Emma, and Sarah Kim celebrated quietly together, grateful for peace and new beginnings. They made a tradition of lighting a single candle for those they had lost along the way. Rob's mother, the victims whose stories shaped their mission at the Foundation, even the lost illusions that once seemed unbreakable. Emma's laughter filled the house, blending with Sarah's gentle wit and Rob's deep, steady strength. This was the family they had built, not from perfect circumstances, but from courage, resilience, and a love that had proved itself in every storm. On the mantel above the fireplace, the framed photo of Rob and Emma at the Foundation's launch rested beside awards for their advocacy work and letters of gratitude from families they'd helped. It was a reminder that no matter how dark the world could seem, there would always be those willing to stand up, fight back, and turn the tide together. And in the quiet comfort of their home, surrounded by hope and hard-won peace, the Mitchells knew that whatever challenges tomorrow might bring, they would face them, not as prey, but as protectors, as family, as true survivors. Next time. Rob stood in the softly lit hallway, surrounded by images of new memories and the promise of more to come. As he closed Emma's door and quietly made his way to his own room, peace at last settled over the house. Outside, the Seattle night was calm, the world carrying on, safe for a few more families, thanks to the courage of one father and his daughter. The past no longer defined them. The future, honest and bright, stretched ahead, and the Mitchells were ready to live it together.